I went into a Catholic church in the Philippines thinking I could mock their holy rituals without consequence. But what happened next shook me so deeply. Could this really be God reaching out to me? My name is Omar and I am 33 years old. I had never doubted my faith, never questioned what I had been taught. Islam had been my life, my safety, my pride. I grew up in a small town in Mindanao, surrounded by the sounds of call to prayer echoing through the dusty streets, and the smell of spices from our kitchens mixing with the humid tropical air. My father, Abdullah, was a respected scholar, a man who would spend hours reciting the Quran by candlelight, his voice steady, his devotion absolute. My mother, Layla, taught young girls in our neighborhood how to read Arabic and memorize the verses. From the moment I could speak, I had memorized lines of the Quran. By age 10, I had committed more than half to memory. Every visitor who came to our home would remark on my dedication, and my father would smile, proud of the son he said would grow up to defend the faith. I was the perfect son, the perfect Muslim boy, the one who never missed a single prayer, even when I was sick with fever. I fasted without complaint, studied Arabic for hours, and learned to understand every nuance of Allah's word. My friends called me serious, even intense, but I believed I was storing up treasures in paradise. Every action, every thought, every step I took was measured against what I knew was right. I was disciplined, precise, devout, and I loved it. By the time I was 22, I had become a respected imam in our small mosque, leading prayers and teaching younger boys about Islam. I was proud, and my community relied on me. I believed strongly that faith should be defended, that any intrusion from other religions was a threat to the purity of our beliefs. That certainty gave me purpose. That certainty gave me courage. And that certainty blinded me in ways I could not yet understand. It was in early 2023 that I first heard about the small Catholic church in the center of Davos City. It was not a huge cathedral, just a simple structure with white walls, a small bell tower, and wooden pews. I had passed it countless times in traffic, noticing the crucifix above the altar, the statues of saints, and the soft choral music floating through the open doors. I had always felt a sense of irritation, a tension I couldn't explain. To me, it was a sign of falsehood, a place that contradicted everything I had been taught. And in my pride I convinced myself that I needed to confront it, even if only symbolically. I would go inside, observe their rituals, and prove to myself how wrong it all was. It was meant to be simple, harmless, just a test of my faith and my courage. The morning I went, the air was thick with humidity, and the scent of tropical flowers clinging to the streets. I parked my motorcycle a few blocks away and walked toward the church, my heart beating fast, my chest tight with anticipation. The wooden doors were slightly open, and I could see the soft glow of candles, the smell of incense curling up like ghostly tendrils into the high ceilings. The sunlight fell through stained glass, splashing colored patterns across the stone floor. I stepped inside, feeling a mixture of curiosity and righteous pride. The church was quiet except for the echo of footsteps and the soft chant of a priest preparing for morning mass. I noticed the Eucharist on the altar, the small golden discs that I had been taught were sacred symbols to Christians. A part of me bristled at seeing it, an object I had always believed was false, perhaps even dangerous to someone as devout as I was. My hands tightened, my jaw clenched, and a strange thrill ran through me. I approached slowly, my eyes fixed on the altar, my mind racing with thoughts of proving my superiority, my power, my righteousness. I whispered the verses I had learned to remind myself that I was protected, that I was strong in faith, and that no harm could touch me as long as I acted in Allah's name. The church smelled faintly of burning candles, old wood, and polished floors. I could hear the soft murmur of prayers as the few worshippers seated themselves quietly in the pews. Each step I took seemed louder than the last, echoing through the vast emptiness. My skin prickled with tension. I could feel my own heart hammering against my ribs. And then, as I approached the altar, the sunlight shifted, cutting across the Eucharist like a spotlight, making the golden discs gleam unnaturally bright. My eyes widened, and my hand trembled. I had intended to mock them. I had intended to stomp, to scoff, to prove my faith was stronger. But something froze me in place. The glow seemed alive. It pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat beneath the gold. A shiver ran down my spine. I felt an unfamiliar fear. The voice inside my head whispered, not in Arabic, not in my mother's voice, not in the words I had memorized, but in a language that carried both warning and invitation. My pride, my certainty, my years of devotion, all of it suddenly felt fragile. I took another step forward, and my knees buckled, my stomach twisted. Something invisible pressed against my chest, heavy and undeniable. I had come to conquer. I had come to mock. And yet I could not move. Something was stopping me. Something far greater than my understanding. For what felt like hours but was only minutes, I stood frozen, staring at the Eucharist, my mind a storm of conflicting thoughts. Doubt, fear, curiosity, awe, and anger collided inside me. I wanted to leave. I wanted to act. I wanted to run. And then, in the silence, I heard a whisper, not from the priest, not from anyone present, but from somewhere deeper inside me. "Do you really know who you are worshipping?" it said. I stumbled backward, my palms pressed against my thighs, my breath shallow. I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to say it was my imagination, a trick of the light. But my entire body, every muscle, every nerve, told me it was real. The golden discs on the altar seemed to shimmer with a strange intensity, as if they were alive and aware. My heart raced. My mind screamed. And in that moment, I realized I had no idea what was about to happen to me. Have you ever been so certain you were right, only to realize that something far beyond your understanding was waiting for you? My hands were still shaking as I stumbled backward, my eyes fixed on the golden discs that seemed to glow with a light that had no source. The air felt thick, heavy, like I was wading through water. Every breath I took was hot and wet against my lungs, and I could hear the faint creak of the pews behind me as if the building itself were alive and shifting. My heart pounded so loudly that I could feel it in my throat, each beat echoing in my ears like a drum. I wanted to leave. I wanted to run. But something, an invisible force, kept me rooted to the floor. The priest, a small man with silver hair and kind eyes, stepped toward me slowly. He didn't speak, didn't gesture. He just moved, each step measured, calm, deliberate. His presence was heavy, not threatening, but commanding, like the quiet before a storm. I could feel his gaze on me, penetrating, seeing through my body and my soul. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I had never felt so small, so exposed. All my years of faith, all my pride, felt hollow, fragile. I swallowed hard and tried to speak, but my voice was gone. My throat felt dry, tight, like sandpaper scraping against itself. I wanted to say something, anything, to regain control, to prove I was still strong, still in command. But no words came. Only a tremor ran through my arms, my legs, my whole body. My knees felt like jelly. My chest heaved as I fought to breathe normally. The golden discs on the altar seemed to pulse in time with my heartbeat, a slow, steady rhythm that I could not ignore. I looked around and saw the few worshippers who had been seated quietly in the pews. Their faces were calm, serene, completely unaware of the storm raging inside me. Their eyes were closed in prayer, their hands folded neatly. I felt a surge of anger mixed with confusion. How could they be so calm? How could they believe in something that seemed so false to me, and yet appear so at peace? My mind raced, trying to reconcile what I had been taught with what I was experiencing. The priest stopped a few feet from me and extended his hands, palms up, as if offering something I couldn't see. His voice, when it came, was soft but firm. "Come closer," he said. "Do not be afraid." It wasn't a command. It was an invitation, one I felt in every fiber of my being. My feet moved before I could stop them, carrying me forward like a puppet on invisible strings. Each step felt heavier than the last, like I was wading through mud. My palms were slick with sweat, my shirt clinging to my chest. I could smell the faint scent of incense, the warm wax of candles, and something else, something undefinable that made my stomach twist. I reached the altar and stared down at the discs again. They were golden, perfect, small, but the light seemed to come from inside them, flickering, moving, alive. I wanted to touch them, to knock them over, to destroy them to prove I was still in control. But my hands trembled too violently. I could not reach out. I could not act. And then, the world seemed to tilt, a strange, disorienting shift that made me stumble back a step. My stomach lurched, my vision blurred, and I felt a force push against my chest as if the air itself were alive and pressing me down. A sound reached my ears, faint at first, like whispering over a distance, and then closer, clearer. It was not Arabic. It was not a language I had ever heard. Yet I understood it perfectly. "Omar, do you truly know your God?" The voice was soft, patient, and impossible to ignore. My knees buckled, and I fell to the cold stone floor. The sound of my body hitting the ground echoed through the church. My palms scraped against the tiles, sharp and burning. I felt a wave of fear, a primal, raw terror that I had never known. And yet beneath it, beneath the fear, there was a strange pull, a curiosity I could not resist. I glanced at the priest again. He knelt slightly, his hands still extended. His eyes met mine, and I felt as if he could see every hidden thought, every secret doubt, every suppressed question I had ever buried inside myself. I had come to this church to mock, to conquer, to show my strength. And now I was nothing but a child, trembling on the floor, powerless and exposed. I wanted to rise. I wanted to flee. But something deeper, something stronger, held me there. A faint warmth spread through my chest, slow, deliberate, almost imperceptible at first. My body relaxed slightly, though my mind was still racing. The light from the disc seemed to grow, filling the space around me with a soft, golden glow. I could hear the whispering again, patient and insistent. "Do you truly know the one who made you?" My thoughts screamed that this was impossible, that I could not be hearing a voice from God. Yet my heart believed it. My body obeyed it. My soul, it ached with recognition. I did not understand it, could not explain it, and yet I felt it deeply. The church, the light, the priest, the voice, all of it was real, undeniable. And I realized, for the first time in my life, that my certainty had been fragile. That my pride, my devotion, my knowledge, it had not prepared me for this. Something was here that I could not fight, could not control, and could not ignore. I shivered again, this time not from fear, but from awe. My heart pounded, my mind raced, and yet beneath it all, a strange peace began to settle in, small and fragile, like a tiny flame flickering in the wind. I did not know what would happen next. I did not know if I would stand, fall, or run. But one thing was certain, everything I thought I knew about faith, power, and God was about to change. Could it be that the God I had served all my life was not the one I thought I knew, and that something far greater, far more powerful, was reaching for me now? I could feel my legs trembling beneath me as I staggered toward the center of the church. The golden discs on the altar seemed to shimmer and flicker, almost breathing, alive in a way I could not explain. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat loud, relentless, echoing through the quiet hall. I had come here to mock, to destroy, to prove something to myself and to others. But now, with the warm, strange light washing over me, I was unsure of anything. Fear and curiosity twisted inside me like tangled threads. I reached out my hand toward the nearest disc, but my fingers hovered above it, unable to touch. The surface glowed softly, almost inviting me, yet I recoiled instinctively. My palms were slick with sweat, my arms shaking like they were not my own. The priest stood a few feet away, still calm, still watching. His eyes held no judgment, only a quiet insistence that I could not ignore. I wanted to turn and run, to escape the weight of the moment, but something stronger held me in place, invisible but undeniable. A sudden sound, faint at first, filled the church. It was a whispering, but not like voices speaking in a language I knew. It was soft, melodic, almost like the wind weaving through the trees outside. And yet, somehow, I understood it. It called my name, over and over, gentle and insistent. "Omar, do you see?" My knees buckled again, and I sank to the cold stone floor, pressing my palms against the tiles as if they could anchor me. The light from the disc spread further, reaching into the corners of the room, chasing away shadows I hadn't even noticed before. The air smelled of wax and incense, but beneath that, something richer, deeper, filled my senses. It was warm, comforting, and terrifying all at once. My chest heaved as I tried to breathe normally. My mind raced, attempting to argue, to rationalize, to convince myself that this was some trick of the light, some trick of the mind. But each rational thought collided with the undeniable pull in my chest, the tugging at my soul that I could not resist. The priest knelt beside me, his hands still outstretched. "Do not be afraid," he said again, his voice steady, soft, like a calm river over jagged rocks. I could not speak. I could barely think. I felt every muscle in my body tighten, my stomach twist, my heart hammering as if it wanted to escape my chest. And then I saw it, a figure, faint, glowing, almost transparent, hovering just above the altar. I blinked, thinking it was my imagination, but it remained. The light pulsed around it, warm and inviting, and my chest ached with a strange longing I had never felt. I wanted to fall to my knees, to crawl forward, to touch whatever this was. My pride screamed no. My anger whispered I was being mocked. Yet my body moved despite me, as if drawn by invisible strings. Each step forward felt heavy, deliberate, measured. I could feel the cold stone under my bare feet, the tiny cracks and chips biting into my skin. I could hear my own breath, ragged, uneven, each inhalation filling my head with dizziness. As I approached the figure, the whispering grew louder, filling my ears, surrounding me. "Omar, you have searched for truth. Have you seen it?" The words were not spoken but felt inside my mind, vibrating through every nerve. My knees hit the floor, and I dropped my head, my forehead pressing against the cold tiles. Tears burned my eyes, and I could not hold them back. I had never felt so powerless, so exposed. All the anger, all the certainty I had carried for years crumbled inside me like dry sand slipping through my fingers. A warmth spread through my chest, gentle at first, then stronger, filling every part of me that had been tight with fear and pride. The golden discs pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat. The light from the hovering figure seemed to reach into me, past my skin, past my bones, into the deepest part of my being. I felt my arms relax, my legs stop trembling. The priest's hands rested lightly on my shoulders, grounding me, anchoring me to the moment. I tried to speak again, and this time, words came, small, shaky, uncertain. Who are you?" The figure's light brightened slightly, and the whispering filled my mind once more. "I am the one who knows you, who sees your heart." My chest tightened, a mixture of awe, fear, and longing crushing me all at once. I wanted to run, but I could not. I wanted to fight, but there was nothing to fight. I wanted to deny, to turn away, but every part of me, every cell, wanted to surrender. I stayed there, kneeling on the cold floor, the golden discs glowing, the figure hovering, the priest beside me, and for the first time, I truly understood the weight of what I had done, the emptiness of my pride, the fragility of certainty. I had come to conquer, to mock, to dominate. And yet here I was, small, powerless, faced with something I could neither control nor understand. The light dimmed slightly, and the whispering softened, gentle, patient. "Omar, will you let go of what you think you know? Will you see the truth that has been here all along?" My chest heaved, tears streaming freely, and I realized that I had no answer. I did not know. I could only stay on the floor, trembling, my mind racing, my heart aching, and my soul waiting. Could it be that everything I had been taught, everything I had believed, was only a shadow of the truth that was reaching for me now, in this quiet, glowing church, on this cold stone floor? The air in the church was thick, almost heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. I could feel the light from the discs pulsing against my skin, warm and insistent, almost like a heartbeat of its own. My knees were scraped from the cold stone floor, but I barely noticed. My hand shook as I reached toward the nearest disc, and for the first time, I did not want to destroy it. I wanted to touch it, to feel what it was. The warmth spread through my fingers as soon as they grazed its smooth, golden surface, and a shock ran up my arm that left me gasping. The priest knelt beside me, silent now, letting me struggle and falter in my own realization. I looked up at the hovering figure again. Its light was steady now, soft but certain, and the whispering in my head continued, filling me with questions I could not yet answer. My chest ached with a strange mixture of fear and longing, a tension that twisted every thought into a knot I could not untangle. I wanted to flee, to deny it, to tell myself it was a trick of my mind, but I could not. I could feel the truth pressing against the walls of my heart, demanding I let it in. I crawled forward on my hands and knees, feeling every crack and chip of the stone beneath me, the chill of the floor biting through my thin clothes. The golden discs seemed to respond to me, their light following my movements, drawing me closer to the altar. I wanted to look away, to resist, but every instinct in my body pushed me forward. My breath came in short, ragged bursts, and each exhale felt like it carried away a piece of the pride and certainty I had clung to all my life. The figure's light enveloped me now, warm and soft, and the whispering voice was louder, insistent but gentle. "Omar, can you feel it? Can you see beyond what you know?" My eyes filled with tears as I shook my head. I did not know. I had never known. Everything I had believed, everything I had been certain of, seemed small and fragile in comparison to this presence that filled the church. The discs glowed brighter, and the figure's shape became clearer, more defined, almost human in form. I wanted to reach out and touch the figure, but fear froze me. My mind screamed that I was about to make a terrible mistake, that I was betraying everything I had learned. Yet my body moved on its own, trembling and uncertain, toward the glowing light. Each step was deliberate, measured, and heavy, as if the air itself was thick with resistance. My heart pounded in my ears, and I could feel sweat running down my back, soaking my clothes. The figure leaned slightly toward me, and I felt a warmth that filled my chest and wrapped around my shoulders. The discs around the altar pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat, and I realized I was not alone. The priest's presence grounded me, his hands lightly pressing against my arms, anchoring me to this moment, to this choice I could no longer avoid. My mind raced with memories, faces of family, moments of pride, moments of doubt I had buried long ago. I sank to my knees again, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. The figure's light surrounded me completely, and I could hear the whispering more clearly now. "Omar, will you let go? Will you surrender what you think you know and open your heart?" I shook my head, unable to speak. My pride was gone. My certainty shattered. I could feel my anger and fear dissolving, replaced by a trembling, aching need to understand, to belong, to surrender. I placed my hands together in front of me, my fingers brushing the smooth discs, and closed my eyes. The warmth spread through my body, a fire that burned without pain, that consumed fear and left clarity. I felt my chest expand, my breath steadying, my heart slowing. The figure hovered closer, and I could feel its presence in every fiber of my being. My mind was quiet, yet filled with questions I had never dared ask, answers I had never hoped to hear. The priest whispered something I could not yet comprehend, and I nodded, though I did not know why. The figure's light dimmed slightly, gentle and patient, as if waiting for me to choose. My tears fell freely now, hot and unrelenting, washing away the remnants of doubt and pride. I felt weightless, as if the floor itself had disappeared, leaving only the warmth and light pressing into me, into every corner of my heart and mind. I opened my eyes and looked at the discs, at the figure, at the priest, and I realized that I could no longer turn back. I had crossed a threshold, past a point of no return. My chest ached with the intensity of the choice I had made, and yet a strange peace filled me, quiet and profound, as if I had been waiting my whole life for this moment. And then the voice spoke again, soft but clear, vibrating inside me. "Omar, do you truly understand what you have sought all your life?" My body trembled, my eyes burned, and I could only whisper a single word, uncertain, full of awe and fear. I don't know. Could it be that the answers I had sought in anger and destruction were never found in force, but only here, in surrender and truth I had never imagined? The golden light wrapped around me like a soft, warm blanket, pressing gently against every part of my body. I sank to my knees, trembling, and felt the cold stone floor beneath me vanish in the glow. The discs pulsed steadily, and I realized they were not just objects, they were alive with a presence that filled the entire church. My hands hovered over the nearest disc, and when I touched it, a wave of warmth shot through me, spreading to every finger, every muscle, every thought. The fear I had carried for years melted, leaving a strange, trembling peace. The priest knelt beside me, silent, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding I could not yet name. My chest heaved as the light grew brighter, filling the nave, spilling over the pews, illuminating faces frozen in awe. I could hear whispers, soft and clear, winding through my mind like gentle streams. "Omar, you have crossed the edge. Will you follow it?" My heart pounded. I realized I was no longer fighting. The anger, the pride, the certainty, they had all fallen away, leaving only a desperate, aching need to surrender fully. I closed my eyes and let the warmth flood me, the discs humming beneath my hands. And in that moment I understood. All I had sought through destruction and defiance was here: peace, clarity, and truth. My soul lifted, unburdened, as if I had fallen and finally stood upright. Could it be that everything I feared was never outside me, but inside, waiting to be released?